Hello and welcome to this webcast. My name is Artemakis Artemiou. I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, and in this webcast we are going to see how you can secure your SQL Server instances along with using my new software tool called DBA Security Advisor. So this is the agenda of this webcast. First, we're going to discuss why it is necessary to secure our SQL Server instances. We're going to see the areas which we can secure, and then we're going to see DBA Security Advisor and how we can use this tool in order to help us securing our SQL Server instances. So, why do I need to secure my SQL Server instance? First, the obvious. If you want to take database security seriously, then you need to secure your SQL Server instance. And here's a tip for you. You need to take DB security seriously. Then, if you store your data in SQL Server databases, then you need to secure it because data is the most valuable asset within the organization. And because of that, your SQL Server instance that hosts this data is the next most valuable asset. When we talk about securing SQL Server, there are sometimes where there is a misconception in the form of securing only SQL Server. This is not true because it's not only SQL Server. SQL Server is a data platform. It is installed on top of an operating system. This operating system runs on a network, has storage. There is an entire ecosystem that supports SQL Server's operation. And that's why you need to secure this ecosystem as well. So, you need to handle physical security, operating system and network security, for example, service packs, upgrades, patches. Then, you need to handle application security, how your application connects to SQL Server and how it uses this connection. And of course, SQL Server instance and database level security. Let's see physical security first. And regarding physical security, you need to limit the physical access to the physical server and hardware components. So you need to establish a proper procedure with adequate controls in order to allow only authorized personnel having physical access to the server and its components. About operating system and network security, you need to keep the operating system up to date with the latest patches, service packs, but of course only after you tested these patches and service packs with the database applications and that after you confirm that everything works well with these new patches. You need to follow the least privilege approach for service accounts, and especially for SQL Server, there are many MSDN articles that describe precisely the permissions you need to give to the service accounts for running the different SQL Server services. And of course, restrict access to SQL Server operating system files, because it's not only securing the database, it's also securing the files in order not to be able for someone to just take the database files, put them somewhere else and read the contents of the database. Next, you need to configure the firewalls. So you need to do that in order to keep unauthorized users off the network, and you need to do it properly in order for the enabled SQL Server services, for example, database engine, integration services and so on, to operate properly. And again, yes, there are many guides, many official Microsoft guides for achieving this. Now, when it comes to application security, you need to secure your client applications. This means that you do not need to expose user passwords and code, and always use encrypted connection strings. Also, always prefer Windows authentication instead of SQL Server and Windows authentication, that is mixed mode, for connecting to SQL Server. Of course, if you do not have an option and you need to use mixed mode, then at least enable password policies for all your SQL Server logins. Last, prefer and support an encrypted connection to the SQL Server instance from your application in order for anything that is transmitted between the two endpoints, that is your application and SQL Server instance, to be encrypted and thus make it more difficult to intercept information. Now, let's talk about SQL Server instance and database level security. First, you need to check the server level permissions. For example, check which logins have sysadmin access, check which logins have security admin access, and so on. And generally check all access levels and permissions. For example, check which logins have DBA owner access, data writer, data reader, and so on. After reviewing all these permissions, you need to check if it is justified for these logins to have the reported permissions. This is an ongoing process, of course. Then you need to check the surface area of SQL Server. That is server configuration options, whether they're enabled or not. For example, you need to check if ad hoc distributed queries is enabled or not, CLR enabled, and if it is enabled, then the CLR assembly permission sets for your assemblies. For example, if you need to enable CLR, then at least you need to set the safe CLR assembly permission set for your assembly. Then you need to check for the cross DB ownership chain setting, database mail XPs, XPCMD shell, and so on. There is a list of server configuration options which you need to check. Then you need to check other authentication and authorization settings. For example, the server authentication mode. That is if you use Windows mode or mixed mode. The guest user permissions, orphaned users. If there are orphaned users in your databases and these databases are not contained databases, then after you confirm that these users are not used in any way and they are not mapped to any login for sure, then you can consider disabling these users and then eventually delete them, and so on. You need to check auditing settings to see if both failed and successful logins are logged. You need to check that if default trace is enabled. Then you need to check the password policies for your SQL logins, not the Windows logins. So for because Windows logins take the policies from Active Directory and Windows policies. So you need to check if password expiration and password policy are enabled for your SQL logins. There are also other checks. For example, check if you are using transparent data encryption, which became available from SQL Server 2008 or later. Check your SQL Server version. Check if you need to install a service pack or cumulative patches in case you need them. After, of course, you certify that your database application are okay with the latest service packs and patches. Another thing that has to do with information security, it's whether your databases are successfully being backed up or not, because part of data security is to keep your data available, or to check if built-in administrators on your database server have any permissions on the SQL Server instance. If yes, they should not, because you need to separate these roles. It's another thing the Windows administrator, and another thing the SQL Server administrator. Based on all that, especially the SQL Server instance and database level security hardening process, I have developed DBA Security Advisor. As the name implies, DBA Security Advisor assesses SQL Server instances against a rich set of security checks and reports potential security risks that may have to do with the configuration and settings of SQL Server and its its hosted databases. Then, for the reported potential security risks, there are recommendations and remediation scripts and methods where you can use them to remediate the security risks. So, in a few words, DBA Security Advisor is a software tool which assesses SQL Server instances for potential security risks using a rich set of proven best practice security checks. Its main features is that it can assess single or multiple SQL Server instances for security risks based on a rich set of security checks. Currently, there are more than 30 checks available in the Enterprise Edition of the tool. It provides recommendations, remediation scripts, and also suggests remediation methods, because it's not always a script that can remediate security risks, but also a series of steps. Other features include maintaining report history in order to be able to see the progress of hardening your SQL Server instances. There is a rich set of display and export options. There is the functionality which allows you to generate a report with information about the connected instances. Note that all these features are available in the Enterprise Edition of the tool, but there is also a Community Edition with limited features and a limited set of security checks, which, however, is free, and you can freely download it from DBA Security Advisor's website and use it and see how you can benefit from the tool. Let's see some screenshots. This is the start page of the tool. Then it's the SQL Instance Connection tab, where you can connect to a single or multiple SQL Server instances. DBA Security Advisor supports SQL Server 2005 or later, and you need to connect to the instances to be assessed using a sysadmin login. This is the Security Checks tab, where, as you can see, there is a variety of checks to select. And this is a sample generated report with detected security risks or reassurance that some settings pass the check and it's okay to have them at the state DBA Advisor found them. This is the standalone security report viewer available in the Enterprise Edition, which provides remediation scripts for the detected security risks and recommendations based on which you can get advices how you should treat these detected security risks, because it's not just running a script and disabling a feature. It's first you need to check how this will affect your existing database application, its operation, confirm that it will not negatively affect the operation of the application, and then proceed to the remediation steps. So it's a series of steps to be followed in order, along with remediating the security risks, to also ensure that your applications keep on operating properly. This is a dialog where you can set default options for DBA Security Advisor in order to use them without having each time to select the same things. So why use DBA Security Advisor? Well, I would say use it because it's an easy way to constantly assess your SQL Server instances for security risks. Use it as a part of your global systems hardening process. Use it because you can get recommendations, remediation scripts, and methods for detected security risks. And use it because you can monitor your SQL Server instances hardening progress via the history mechanism. So you can get DBA Security Advisor today at www.dbasecadvisor.com and start using it. Some resources. Okay, before ending this short webcast, let's take a look at DBA Security Advisor in action and see how we can and see how easy it is to use it for assessing SQL Server instances against security checks. This is the start page of DBA Security Advisor's Enterprise Edition, where you have shortcuts to different functions of DBA Security Advisor. The first step, as discussed in the presentation, is to connect to one or more SQL Server instances. In this case, I'm going to connect to a single instance. Here you can see some basic information about the connected instance, and this is the list of connected instances. Then you select the security checks. Let's say I want to check the surface area for this instance. I run checks. You can see this is the report where for each selected check you get a pass or security risk result. For example, ad hoc distributed queries are disabled, and this is a pass. CLR, however, is enabled, and yes, this is a security risk. So from this, in this report, you can see the recommendation about the detected security risks. However, if you want to see remediation scripts and methods for the detected security risks, you can click on Suggest Remediation Scripts, and the standalone security report viewer will launch, and along with the recommendations for each detected security risk, you will be also provided with the remediation script or method to follow after, of course, you ensure that this will not affect the operation of your applications hosted on the SQL Server instance, and proceed with the remediation measures. Here you can see the export options and the display options. Last, it's important to see that there is a history mechanism available in the Enterprise Edition where you can go back and access earlier reports. For example, I select this, and for each report you select, you can see the list of assessed instances, and this can help you identify the version of the report you want to open from history. And last but not least, the connected instances information function, where you can get basic information about all the connected instances. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this webcast, and make sure you visit DBA Security Advisor's official website in order to get more information about this special software tool. Thank you very much.